Before you start, I would like to welcome everyone. A very good evening to everyone present here. And also, we are live from Honorable MP Sujit Kumar's Facebook page. So those who are watching us from Facebook and who have been connected here, a very warm welcome to everyone. Before going to our moderator, to today's moderator, Lopamudra Tripathi ma'am, who is the communication for development specialist working in UNICEF Odisha. She has a very vast experience of working in children areas and specifically on communication. Before handing over to you, ma'am, I would like to introduce the esteemed speakers, today's panelists, and then we can start, ma'am. First of all, we are having Mr. Rajesh Prabhakar Patil. He is an Indian Administrative Service Officer, IAS officer, and having experience of working in various government departments and working as district collector of different districts of Odisha. And he has also a very he is very keen towards children specifically. In his tenure with his guidance, Mayurbhanj district was declared as the child labor free district. Then we welcome you, sir. Then we have Mr. Indrajit Sinha, all the way from Assam. After doing his masters in youth empowerment, Mr. Sinha has started a startup, a social startup. It's called We Are Young Foundation, Way Foundation. And they are working towards youth empowerment, and they're working for only for adolescents, and how they will realize their rights, and how they will raise their voice in various platforms. We welcome you, Sinhaji. Then we have Mr. Sasank Padhi with us. He is a development practitioner with having more than 20 years of experience in child rights. He has piloted a child participation project in Odisha to strengthen the voice of adolescents, to strengthen the voice of young people. Then he has worked with Save the Children. He has worked with UNDP, Helpage, and various other NGOs in different capacities. So we welcome you, sir. And last but not the least, we'll be having Mr. Anubhav Patnaik, who is the former ex-MLA of Khandapada constituency of Nayagarh district of Odisha. He is now heading the electronics and IT department as an advisor to E&IT department, government of Odisha. Anubhav sir will join us shortly. I'll take my deepest gratitude to all of you to be present here, and the platform is yours, ma'am. You can start now. Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am. Please unmute. Yeah.
These are the hazards of online speaking. I welcome all the speakers, the very eminent speakers, and I actually look forward to hearing from you. I'm extremely honored to actually moderate this session. And I think it is extremely important for an organization like UNICEF to talk about participation, because what we have been trying to do in all our efforts is to make sure that the realization of the rights of the children is only possible if children finally participate and make informed decisions about themselves and their lives. We have seen that participation is mostly seen as a token, that we make sure that let's say we have a SMC where there is a need for children to be members. So we have members as children as members, but what happens eventually is that when it comes to taking decisions, about how children are going to study, how the classrooms are going to be organized, where the toilets are going to be placed, how far the water system is going to be in the school. Everything finally depends upon how the adults take decisions about this. And we are truly in Odisha trying to make an effort to ensure that children are able to participate and take informed decisions about their own lives. For example, if a child is a part of the SMC, how can we hear or listen to the voice of the child and make sure that what his or her interest is, that is realized. And that is what we must do. And we have seen two very, very special efforts made by the government of Odisha. One is regards the school cabinet, which is actually formed in almost all schools, where children are made to become part of different ministries. So we have the health ministry, we have the food ministry, we have the entertainment ministry. So we have these different ministries, and we also now in the last 2 months we have also made a slight change and made sure that this ministry is expanded to have a disaster ministry or an emergency ministry, because we saw that during the COVID, there were many children who were actually going through different kinds of problems. Sometimes it took some time for the children to get home from residential schools, and children were getting very, very nervous, and they were because of the uncertainty that COVID was spreading across the world. And so they were becoming psychologically, they were getting impacted psychologically. So with all these problems, we also thought it would be important for children to understand that emergencies may strike, and that they also need to understand and take decisions during emergencies or disasters such as. Secondly, what the government has also done in Odisha, and which I think is an extremely great effort, is to make sure that that children across the state are able to participate. There are many, in Koraput, we have what we call the Project Aparajita. In Ganjam, we have the Project Nirbhaya Kadi. In Kandhamal, we have the Balya Vivah Pratirodha Mancha, which actually brings adolescents together. You know, children between the age of 10 to 18 to 20. I mean, it is slightly extended for the young adults are also added in here, to bring all these children together and to talk to them, to have a very transformational dialogue with them on how they can manage their own lives and understand their own lives. Because what is very important for UNICEF and for the government, as I have been working with the government for so long now, I have realized that it is extremely important for both the organizations and many such organizations which work on rights of the children, that it is their aspirations that need to be well fulfilled. And in order to do that, engaging with the adolescents, talking to them, giving them time, listening to them, giving them space to talk about their own problems and issues is extremely important as a part of their whole participation process. And that is what the government of Odisha has done, in especially through the DWCD department, in partnership with the School and Mass Education department and with the Panchayati Raj department, that we have what we call a state or district task force for ending child marriage, which is one of the major barriers to participation of children in the progress of life. And another thing I would mention, and then I would of course call on all the other eminent speakers to talk about while I'm doing the moderation, is what we did was a child-friendly panchayat system, which is now being expanded to all the 30 districts with the support of UNICEF, but primarily being driven by the Panchayati Raj department. And we have tried, we also supported, and I'm really looking forward to listening to Mr. Anubhav Patnaik here. When he was the MLA of Khandapada in the last term, we worked very closely with him to establish what we call a child-friendly constituency. And what we did through that was to ensure that key indicators around child survival, child development, child protection, and child participation were actually discussed with the communities. That is not only the children, but also with the parents and with the caregivers, to ensure that every child, we had a set of indicators which we were monitoring very closely, and this was happening with our CSO partner, Kalinga Kusum Foundation at that point of time. And we worked very closely and with the MLA himself to establish what we call a child-friendly constituency. And what we realized from there, and what we got from there, is extremely encouraging, because it is the learnings from there, that where we went wrong, what we can do better, what are the key things that we need to do, what are the 5 things that we need to focus on, how do people report, how does the panchayat understand that there is a Bal Sabha, and how the issues of different children, especially the most vulnerable children, are well articulated and presented in these meetings. We got a lot of learning from there, and we presented it to the Panchayati Raj department, and now UNICEF is actually supporting the Panchayati Raj department in establishing child-friendly panchayats across 30 districts, which is a major, I would say, indicator of child participation. So with these many things that we have been trying to support the government of Odisha, which are mostly, and I would like to speak of one other thing, yes, which is Odisha also has a very strong component of volunteerism, and it is not exactly with children, but with a little with who we call young adults. So between the age of, let us say, 18 to 25, and the Viju Yuva Vahini, which was actually started with support of the sports department, where it also aimed, or the perspective was to look at, engaging young adults and adolescents and youth in decision making, in informed decision making, which is what is very important, in informed decision making, and making sure that they participate in their own in their problems. They make decisions about their problems, their lives, their families. So with this, I would like to now open the forum for presentations. I would like to first call upon Shri Rajesh Patil. Sir, it would really be a pleasure to hear you. I'm looking forward to learning from you, and what we can integrate into our programs, and how we can learn from each one of you. And I'm hoping that the Honorable MP's office is actually documenting this, so that we are able to make a good document out of it, which can be kept for posterity, where we can learn from these from the different discourses and debates that we will be having today. Thank you very much, sir. May I please request you to present your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I think you have given a very nice introduction. And, certainly, when we talk about participation of children in the decision making, I feel it has to begin from home, and school is the next place where we should facilitate this, and then the public institutions. So in my opinion, it is when I look at it in the present context, and while working as a collector of 3 tribal districts in Koraput, Kandhamal, and then Mayurbhanj, I have always looked at this whole gamut of issues related to children in a different perspective. And I always used to wonder, when thousands of children are not able to actually express themselves by attending the schools, not having decent environment, and not being able to complete their education. So certainly, when we think of these issues, naturally, the decision making which we are talking about today becomes, secondary. But nevertheless, when we think about decision making and participation of children in that, I think the first thing is to expect that to create an environment whereby children will be able to express themselves. So in that, the role of parents in the first place is very, very important. And in this school, the role of teachers is very, very important. And in that, I think certainly government has taken many steps, as you elaborated, like the school cabinet, and then child friendly panchayats, and all these initiatives have certainly made impact. But to make it happen at every place, I think we need to take this as a very important focus, and a great amount of sensitization first at the teachers level and overall in the society is required. When we see any child in the school hours leave this pandemic period aside, it should strike to our conscience as to why the child is not going to school. Similarly, the accountability part, I think, first should be ensured at all levels, starting from the household level to the school level, then the institution level, say the panchayat. So if we can fix this, then the participation in decision making will be a next step to achieve. And in that, I would say from my experience is that it is if we allow children to express themselves, allow them to think and don't put barriers in their thinking and in their actions, then they can do wonders. I have seen children who have done exceedingly well from the stages where they were uh, seen to be not having any future. And in that scenario, when we try and impose things on them, instead of they taking control or they expressing themselves, it certainly stunts their growth. And certainly we all carry our own prejudices, and we try and impose those on the children. So the atmosphere at the school level needs to be more of a facilitation and empowerment of children, rather than the kind of a old way of punishing children and trying to discipline them without the discipline part not getting accepted at the children. So I feel I have seen schools, we have taken up this as a challenge in the urban district, and we could see that the way children could able to develop from this point when they were being given the uh, mandate to decide for themselves. We could see that the first thing was the joy which was there among the children. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, so I had a little problem in the
Hello? I think Patil sir is not audible anymore. He is muted.
Trying to connect him, ma'am.
No, I can
Yeah,
see that
yes, ma'am.
he's muted. He's muted.
He's joining from another account. Yeah,
Okay.
he has joined.
Yeah. So, yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir.
This is clearer.
Yeah, I had some problem in the connectivity part. So I was saying that, from my own experience, I have seen how children, uh, when they were given an opportunity to kind of express themselves and to be part of the decision making and to select and decide the course of action for the day. And when it happened in consultation with them, we could see the first thing was the joy in the children, on their faces. So I think that is the beginning of education, and from that we could see that the children who were rescued from the working places, they could develop themselves into a human being whereby they not only clear the exams like 10th and other barriers, but they excelled in other activities as well. Some of them, they may excelled in art and culture, some of them in sports. So that is the testimony of what could happen if we empower them with the decision of their life. And many times what happens, we impose our own decisions and our prejudices on them, and in a way truncate their own thinking and ability to uh, you know look at things in a mature way. And that is what uh, you know plays a negative role in their life. So whenever they decide to do something, they don't have confidence. So unless we give them that space, I think it is very difficult to develop them into a very mature and responsible individual. So same is true when we think about ensuring their decision, ensure their participation in the uh, other institutions, say the panchayat or any other, constructive activity for that matter. And I think it is high time that we inculcate this as a culture in our society, instead of getting it done as a kind of a compulsive activity in one place and another place, but kind of with the continuous effort at all level, we should see that as a country, we become child friendly, and we look at them with a different perspective. We always hear that, our grandparents talking about, their own school time when their teachers used to scold them and beat them and things like that. And they had the perception that, doing that only one can learn. So that paradigm is very strongly embedded in our psyche. I think it is a high time that we throw away that and allow children to blossom just like flowers. With my own example, I come from a very humble background, but all my decision in my life I have taken myself. There was never a burden. Even I was in a position to get admission in medical college, engineering college. Still, I took join those institutions. Again, when I was about to clear my post graduation, I could get admission in Indian Air Force. Then was offered a job in the university. That time also it was my own decision, and no one interfered. So I think that courage and that confidence came from such a very humble background was because I started taking control of my own life. I think that is very, very essential. And I have seen in a very so-called educated families and so-called, educated people, a simple respect for their children is not there. So I think it is not only the education which will change, but the way of looking at children as a independent creation of Almighty, and who need to blossom at his own with our own love, care, and facilitation. So that is what I see as an administrator, and I look forward to work in whatever capacity I am to, see that this change happens in the society. Thank you.
I thank you very much, sir, for your deliberation on participation of children. I would like to tell everybody, all the audience here, that Mr. Patil has been one of the pioneers of freeing a district called Mayurbhanj from child labor. And he has personally taken interest. And when he said that you have to actually respect children, you have to make sure that your way of looking at children has to change. He has actually worked it out in one of the districts there. I have worked very shortly with him when he was the collector Koraput, and I know that this importance around looking at children differently is something that he has been very, very emphatic in his career. I would also urge everybody to read his book, Ma, I Have Become a Collector, which is an extremely insightful book on how he has taken decisions in his own life and become a successful administrator. We heard from him, and I would like to highlight 4 points that he mentioned. He talked about all the institutions which needs to respect children, which is home, school, and all public institutions, including administration and panchayats. He also talked about looking at the gamut of issues that children face. It is not only child marriage here or child labor there or disciplining and punishment here. It is about bringing all this together and weaving it together into a narrative whereby children can actually realize their own lives. And he also spoke about enabling environment, to create an enabling environment, and all the different institutions that he talked of. of a home, of a school, of other public institutions, how these people can, at these different institutions can create an enabling environment for children to actually express themselves, to articulate themselves, and to put their issues. Because if you fear, if you actually don't let children be children, it is impossible that they will articulate themselves. So I think that was an extremely important point that he made. And over and above that, he also talked about sensitization, which in our words we call communication or social behavior change communication, which is completely critical to any kind of change, any kind of social change that we are looking at. And fifth and the final thing that he talked about was accountability. So if you have to look at children differently, you have to make sure that starting from the home to public institutions are able to change their own mindset of looking at children differently. I thank you very much, sir. That was a great deliberation. And we would like to hear more when from you when we have the discussion session. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Anubhav Patnaik, who has joined us now. Welcome, sir. It is really great to have you in this discussion. And we would like to hear from you what has been your experience as a politician to engage with children, to understand them, to actually hear them, and what were the challenges there? How did you actually get to this whole idea of a child-friendly constituency and how you made it work? Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thank you, Lopamudra. Thank you very much. It is a pleasure for being invited to this wonderful session today. And I wish all of the present distinguished guests a very pleasant good afternoon. As a legislator, I was fortunate enough to work as a member of Legislative Assembly for the constituency of Kondapada from 2014 to 19. And during that period, we had started this wonderful initiative of making Kondapada a child-friendly constituency. And as we understand, as I being a young politician, I understand that India is also a young nation, where more than 40% population represent children and young adolescents in young adult category. I consider adolescent is a critical stage where every one of us have a role to play and help them in growing with full potential. The issues of adolescents and young children is never considered as a major political agenda, as they do not cast vote for us. But is equally important that if we invest on them today, then our future is bright. On the other hand, age-old issues such as child marriage, child labor, trafficking of girls, boys, and abuses, including sexual abuse, both crime against children and women, often committed by children, are some of the common concern that we all need to debate and take action on priority. As an elected representative, I was very much convinced that we had a major role to play in order to create a safe and protective environment for children and adolescents in our constituency. So we established the first ever child-friendly constituency in Odisha in partnership with UNICEF. We had initiated Child Rights Gram Sabha. As we understand, children and young adults have the right to participation in decision-making process. Both as per international and national legal framework, children and young adolescents constitutes 40% of the total population. So hence, the participation is crucial. Moreover, the states needs to emphasize on young voters and make them ready from the young age between 14 to 18 years through systematic investment to build the capacity and creating space in Gram Sabha, so that these children, when they turn 18, start participating in electoral process as responsible citizens. So how we do this? So basically, Panchayat can call for special meeting of children and young adults between age 14 to 19 years and seek their inputs on the issues affecting to them. After getting the inputs from the children and young people, the same can be endorsed by the Gram Sabha and budget allocation can be made accordingly. The same can also be part of the Gram Panchayat development program documents and fund from 15th Finance Commission can also be used for addressing the issues affecting the children. So we had initiated the first Child Rights Gram Sabha in my constituency when I was an MLA during that point of time. And children participated in the meeting and they suggested various requirements what they have for their panchayat, for their village, for their school. So through Child Right Gram Sabha, our idea was to create enabling platform for children and young adults to discuss their concerns and find solutions with their peers and community members and share with key duty bearers for taking actions. We have also established constituency level child focused indicators and panchayat level report card in order to make panchayat more accountable to children and establish a solid base for vibrant community-based child protection mechanism. Though there were some initial hiccups, initially many panchayats did not agree to it. Many panchayats we had to request to conduct Gram Sabha. But thankfully, with the initial hiccups, we had successfully reached a major milestone in a very short span of time. Not only had we mobilized 5,000 plus children in 130 plus child clubs through the program, we had also managed to empower young girls and women of those areas as well who was working as GPRPs. Those are Gram Panchayat representatives, creating a space for children in the already existing government mechanism was no small task. But through persistent efforts involving phase-wise workshops for all stakeholders, like the district administrators, district administration, block administration, Panchayat Raj institution members, other officials, Anganwadi workers, ASA workers, teachers, ANMs and parents, we managed to ensure that children of Kondapada get an equal and just opportunity to participate and make their voices heard. During that period, I had utilized my local MLA-led local fund, local area development fund, for construction of ICDS centers, school buildings, toilets, providing drinking water facilities, which are important to ensure that children have access to safe spaces for education and nutrition. I was also working with key stakeholders in my constituency on issues related to low child sex ratio and child marriage. As you may be knowing that Nayagarh is one of the districts which has got the lowest child sex ratio in the entire country. In my constituency and Nayagarh district also, there were a lot of issues of child marriages. So all those issues were discussed in these child clubs, how to reduce them, how to increase the child sex ratio, how to increase the birth of the girl child. So and and later on there were very good results because children were educated, the parents were educated, all the stakeholders were educated, and awareness was created among them. So there was a lot of improvement which was seen after a certain period of time. So then interdepartmental coordination, regular monitoring and review, both at various level, tracking of progress on a monthly basis against planned activities and community participation, including children, and recording both success as well as failure are some of the key aspects in order to which made this program successful. And some of the necessary initiatives which with key influences at state level which we took were, as we all know, the child marriage is such a complex issue that cut across most of the sectors such as health, nutrition, education and protection. Hence, this required multi-sectoral activity strategy to address the situation on ground. So we had to discuss with the district administration, we had to discuss with the block administration. So all the stakeholders were involved so as to reduce such issues. The child clubs, the lot of awareness was created among the child clubs also. The implementation and operationalization of the strategies to end child marriage was taken up actively at the state, district, and the block level. We demonstrated the highest level of commitment and accountability to improve the value of girl child in our particularly constituency. It was important to build capacity of the district level government officials, the stakeholders, the coordinators, and monitor and implement government programs and schemes for preventions of child marriages and empowerment of adolescent girls. Whatever government programs came in, we try to implement it properly and monitor it, coordinate it so that it got implemented properly, so that more and more awareness are created and less such issues will occur. So apart from that, there is the linkage between multiple implementing government departments and partners was also important for reporting and monitoring the cases and providing services such as education and health. We conducted meetings with Gram Panchayat members, community and faith-based leaders, and we build capacity of frontline workers on laws, procedures for reporting child marriage cases, identifying vulnerable families and children. So social and behavioral change among parents was also seen, communities were seen. So adolescents themselves, there was a lot of changes which was seen. So this initiative which was launched in Khandapara during 2015 to 17 for 2 years had wonderful results among the children. Children were empowered. Children could see a lot of difference among themselves, and the various parameters that we had taken, like the nutrition, like the child sex ratio, like child marriage, like child dropouts, all these issues had great impact, and we could see a lot of positive results during this time. And I would really thank the office of Mr. Sujit Kumar through Kalinga Kusum, where we had implemented this initiative through UNICEF, through which we could see these results. And I'm sure that by engaging more and more children in decision-making process, we can empower them for a very bright future. So that is all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And I think this was a real flow from the earlier speaker who kind of talked about the institutions, and you gave us information on how you actually implemented these whole things and what you did to actually strengthen the institutions, capacity building, getting all the stakeholders trained, engaging with the stakeholders, making sure that they report on the different aspects and issues of children. I think these are very, very critical to ensure that child rights in any constituency or any panchayat or in any community is actually realized. But what actually struck me strongly was what you said at the beginning of your discourse, was when you said that children are not a political agenda, because they don't vote. They are not a vote bank. And yet for a politician or for an elected representative, how do we get them to be interested in the issue of children? Because what is very important to understand is that we always say that children are our future. But over here, you heard Mr. Patnaik tell us that until and unless you understand and realize that children are also our present, that if we do not invest in children in our present, their future is not going to be what we want them to be. Neither is their future going to be what they would want their future to be. So it is extremely important to understand that we invest in the present of children. Children are also our present. Making sure of their health, of their nutrition, of their education, participation is very, very critical. And we heard Mr. Patnaik say how he did that. But I think there is also another thing that UNICEF learned from this experience of the child-friendly constituency, is that UNICEF has always got a strong intent to actually influence social sector spending. And social sector spending is primarily around health, education, not only of children, but of women, but to ensure that, people like Mr. Patnaik were able to take issues to the floor of the assembly and to influence the spending around children and women. And I think Odisha is one of the first states which has come out with a child budget, and also gender budget, of course, many states have done. But with a child budget, Odisha is one of the first states. So I think it is engaging with elected representatives such as Mr. Patnaik and many others, which UNICEF looks forward to working with. We have seen that we are able to influence at the highest level. that is something that I wanted to also point out to all the to the audience. And the third thing and extremely important thing that he mentioned was about interdepartmental coordination, how to make all these different departments come together and work with each other, and to make sure that the MLA-led, that the local area development funds that that a political, an elected representative has, if he sees or if she sees that there is an impact of using this fund for the benefit of children, I think there is nothing more that people like us can ask for. So thank you very much, sir. It was a great presentation, and I request you to please stay on. We might have questions from our audience here, and I will now call upon Mr. Indrajit Sinha, all the way from Assam, who's here. Thank you very much for being with us. He's from Way Foundation, and we would love to listen from you, sir. Mr. Indrajit Sinha, please.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So thank you very much, Lopamudra ji, and and office of the MP to have me here in this very interesting program, and giving me the opportunity to talk on behalf of hundreds of the children and the young people we work with in Northeast India. I will. Okay. Can I have the sharing rights? I have something to share the screen. Tech team, can I have a sharing?
Sure. I'll just talk to Swadesh. Swadesh, can you please give the host rights to Mr. Sinha as well, so that he can share his screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Mr. Sinha, you can share now. I think. Sorry.
Is it changing? Can you see the screen? Is it changing?
Yes. Yeah, we can see it now.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
So I will quickly share a bit about my organization and also what kind of work that we're doing to ensure that children participation in decision making. Before that, I would really like to congratulate the two speakers that I heard in the first two lines. They were amazing in terms of giving us a really nice glimpse of what amazing models the government can really create to ensure that children's voices are heard from the top level to the grassroots level. I would like to bring in a bit of what we can do as civil society organizations or any random citizen, what we can do to ensure that this decision-making thing that we're talking about is actually made into reality. So We Are Young Foundation is a youth-led organization working with conflict-affected young people in Northeast India. And the main ideology behind it is to create empowering spaces for young people so that they can share things that are important to them and equally work on them. Which eventually we believe, which eventually will lead into creating sustainable, change makers. This is just a graph. If you can see the screen, last time I did, it was the slide was not changing. Can you see the slide, ma'am?
Yes, we can see this. Yes, we can see the slide with the India map. Is that the slide that?
So these are the geographical areas which We Are Young Foundation right now is working with different young people from all these spots that you can see in the map. And the idea is again on the same line of creating empowering spaces for youth voices to be heard. Now let me bring a bit to the child participation which we were talking about. You see, what we have realized that children participation is more than just asking them for their ideas and views. Generally, the first note we hear that when it comes to understand, or when it comes to talking about children participation, we said that let's listen from what the children are talking about or what they're thinking about. So this is merely the first step towards the actual reality of making this happen. It's more about listening to them, taking them seriously, and turning their suggestions and ideas into realities. We listen to them, their views and their experiences, and if you don't take those into consideration and make deliberate changes into our intervention design, or the children are unable to see that how his or her contribution into the dialogue has made an impact, I mean, we are unable to reach what we are wanting to reach actually. It's about providing them with an ability to influence some of the things that affect them, and at the same time helping adults understand children issues through their lenses. So हमें ट्रूली ये लगता है कि बच्चों के बारे में सिर्फ बच्चों से पूछने से नहीं होगा कि आपको क्या अच्छा लगता है, हमें पूछने के बाद उनके सीरियसली लेके उस पे काम करने की जरूरत है. We have to turn that into action, and once the action is taken, it is also equally important as a process to inform each and every child who are part of that decision making process, to tell them कि boss, this is what you have asked for, and this is what to what extent we are able to take it on. Then what I've felt and believed and seen in our work ground, that brings another level of agency for these children to work more with us in the future. Okay. So, and what happens when you truly give them the space or take them seriously to engage them? What happens when you do it? What we have found is a remote village in Meghalaya gets a child labor ban due to constant pressure and engagement of teenagers with local policymakers. So this is one of the interesting story, about an intervention that we have been doing in a remote village in Meghalaya. For the last couple of years, we have invested a lot in creating an empowering space. I will come take those slides niche to tell about how we are doing that. But the impact of that intervention to create the space where the children are able to share and say things which are meaningful to them. In my organization, I have the children that I work with, they directly come and ask me, okay, who is funding you right now and where your funds come from? The children are just at the age of 16 year or 17 year, and we've been working with them for the last, say, 3 to 4 years or 5 years. In just working with 5 years with these children, they come and ask where you're getting your fundings from. Do you audit your regular, do a regular audits? Do this bank people, come to check, are you spending your money on time and how you're spending? And I believe one of, this is an instance where a child came and asked to me, and I'm like, well, it is heading towards what we wanting to actually do with these children. They directly come in asking us where you're spending your money, sir, and where your monies are coming from, and how you're investing. Will you take us into loop next time when you're doing a budget for our village or the program there in a village? Then I told back to my team that I think we are truly going towards what we actually meant. I said the child the other day when he asked me, I said, okay, I will connect you with the accounts guy, and the accounts person can actually tell you that where you are getting our monies from and how we are spending and how the details are happening. So I think this is that action of ours, I think, made this child, for instance, able to think that we are taking him and her seriously in our conversations. And as a result of which, his agency or empowerment level increases and his ask increases. He's able to ask question increases, and then what comes is sheer magic to talk with the local panchayat leaders to tell that we need to ban child marriage because it is banned under so and so and so of action, or about the POCSO Act. So I think this is what happens, and I will give one more example of it. Is this girl Nikita Nongrum? She was from Meghalaya. She's right now she's 21. Back in that time she was 19. She became Ashoka Youth Venturer. It is an under 20 celebration of change makers who are investing a lot on ground, to change local scenarios. From India, I think each year they select 7 to 10 or 11 change makers. I think in 2018 she was one of the one of the top 10 change makers under the age of 20 to be able to do exciting works. And this platform, for example, made her realize that she has a voice, and there are people who has heard and there are people who can hear. Coming back from the program, her engagement with the policymaker is ever increasing every time that she comes with different conversations with the policymakers to change the village in the way she and her gang teenage friends want to do it. And one of the example was which I shared about the making village ban on child, marriage, anti-child marriage in the village. As a result of which, more of Nikita and Masoom are born. This guy Masoom, we have been working with him for the last 4 years. When we started working with him, Masoom was in class 8, and today Masoom is in class 12. At this, just short, 10-year age, Masoom was playing a very critical and pivotal role in dealing with during the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, when the lockdown was happening. Masoom was leading the plot from his community to connect with community members, creating food availability surveys, and finally connecting with us to create food banks for the village, for the community members, and that too in line with while communicating that with the ward commissioner. So all of this instances this guy was doing just at the age of 18. And I believe this again comes from the intervention where each and every time Masoom was taken seriously about what are we going to do with him, what sort of programs we are building, why we are building, and what are the benefit of the program with Masoom and his peer groups. So in short, what I'm trying to say, we find local leaders today who are sustainable for changing the community today and tomorrow. But there's a problem, there's a problem, and we also need to understand how it happens. So how we did is, we facilitate more than we teach, right? And we have involved the family, we have mentors on place, we have peers and village head council who are also on board in creating that conducive environment for Masoom or Nikita per se. It is not possible for us as an outsider to quickly go, or Sarkar also, to quickly go and create an enabling environment in the community. The parents, the design has to involve parents, also need to have mentors or guide, which we can get it from different colleges and universities, and also investing on the village council and the peer group to create the conducive environment to create one leader from each village, if we say so. Which means we have to facilitate and teach less. One thing the children hate, if they have never said, is they hate a lot when we teach, especially grown-up teenagers. They hate a lot when we teach them, which means we have to come out of our adultitis. So this is something I have, heard a lot in different platforms and spaces about our, age-old traditional cultural systems, where adults mostly take the lead role in all the works that happens in a family or in a community. And as a result of which we feel and we believe and that we see around, a problem has come up, a disease condition has come up, and we call it adultitis. It's the feeling of adult, and the feeling of knowing, oh, I know a lot, and I know children don't know a lot. And if you really connect also with other interesting philosophies like the pedagogy of oppress, where in this it is seen, the education system is seen like a bank system, where the children on the one side are seen as a recipient of information given by the teachers. And what happens as a result of it, some of us must have read this book, The Pedagogy of Oppress. So bringing a connection with that, the same philosophy, what I'm saying, we need to come out of our adultitis. As an adult, we really need to come out of the fact that, oh, we really need a lot, we know a lot, and the children are here to learn from us. Until unless we break from that habit of ours to think we know a lot and children don't, we cannot create empowering children-led spaces governed co-governed by the children and the adult themselves. And that is where I think one of the esteemed speaker also shared that that is where the investment has to come right from the top level bureaucrats to the ground level, village councils, for example. The investment must happen, the training or mindset change must happen from the top level higher authorities to the ground level village council to family members, where we all together need to come out of this adultitis and which will help us creating this conducive environment for the children. I have quickly another thing to share. Oh, okay, that somewhere got lost. Anyway, so each day the decisions, when we see the decision that a child makes, for example, career or career and education, right? Friends, leisure, lifestyle. So these are 4 spaces which we have identified. There's a concept of 5th space which talks about that a child is basically, or a young person is basically living through these 4 spaces: careers and education, friends, leisure, and lifestyle. Each day a child is making decision, or a teenager is making decision on which career to study, whom to have friends with. एक लड़की है तो कितने लड़के दोस्त बना सकती है, राइट? और एक लड़का है तो कितने लड़कियां दोस्त बना सकती है, या फिर एक लड़का है, कैन यू मेक फ्रेंडशिप विद अ ट्रांसजेंडर फॉर एग्जांपल, राइट? लीजर टाइम पे क्या करें? I saw this guy who was staring at the staring through a window outside where a bird was sitting in a tree, and his parent was scolding him that why are you wasting your time looking outside? He said, I'm thinking. The parent said, stop thinking, start working. Go and do your homework or do some household works. Now, I think this was too much to tell the child, because I believe if you have to a poet, sometimes the poet need to think. I mean, we have just murdered a poet by telling you don't need to think, you just go and do something else. Maybe just go and do your homework or go and do this. I think the parents also decide, adults also decide what the child or the teenager will be doing in his leisure time. Lifestyle, what lifestyle one should have. That is, again, the teenage spot. Lifestyle, we cannot decide what the lifestyle should the children have, the teenager should be living with. It is the adult which we should which decides it for the children. When I was in class 8, I think my mother stopped taking me to tuitions. I used to go to tuition, and my mother used to took me till I think class 7 or 8. But these days I see that the parents accompany the children till class 12 or maybe in the graduation level. Which college to study, parents decide. Whom to make friendship with, the elders decide. What to do in leisure, elder decide. Lifestyle kya kare, elder decide. I'm like, oh my goodness. Every space that children interact with, it's an adult who is deciding the space. And how can we say that we want to create more children into these spaces, where all the spaces the children are interacting with each day are decided by an adult? And that's where I said in the previous slide that we have to come out from our adultices, and it has to happen from investment from top bureaucrats till the family level of the child. Only then we'll be able to change, bring a mindset change in adultices, and thereby create more inclusive, powerful spaces, for the children and teenagers. And as also, again, one of the resource person said, one of the esteemed guests said that only then we'll be able to create empowering spaces, a leader, sustainable leader for today as well as for tomorrow. So thank you very much. It was really nice sharing about my little experience of working with hundreds of young people from Northeast India. So over to you, Lopamudra ji.
Thank you very much, Indrajit ji. It is a real pleasure to hear you and your achievements, especially Way Foundation. I would like to appraise our audience of a very important fact about Mr. Indrajit. You would be amazed that he has actually cycled 3,000 kilometers or even more to create awareness around rights of children. And that's just an amazing feat, Mr. Sinha. And I think I wish all our children and all our adolescents and youth who are listening to us are able to take this inspiration to cycle around their own communities and talk about the issues of children. I think that would be heroic enough. Having said that, I think your presentation was a perfect sequel to the presentations that were made earlier. I think two important things that you mentioned in your presentation were how do we create empowering spaces for children? I think that is very critical. And the second thing that you talked about is how do we ensure that the change that we make today is sustainable? That is, how do we ensure that the change that we are trying to make or we have made is there forever and that it does not stop after we stop working with the children? So I think what we are talking about is creating more and more people or child rights champions who would then be, and this champion is not only in creating children as child rights champions, but to create different stakeholders at different levels, starting from the from parents to the administration to the policymakers as champions of child rights, so that our children actually get an empowering space to talk, to articulate their voices. And the whole thing about tokenism that we started this discussion with, that we have to listen to the children and they have to see that they are able to make the change that they want to see. I think that is something which is very, very critical. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinha. And with that, we come to our last presenter, Mr. Sashank Padhi. I welcome you, sir, and we really hope to hear from you about your thoughts and opinions on participation of children. Thank you very much. Sir Padhi.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Office of Honorable MP Rajya Sabha, Mr. Sujit Kumar, for organizing this webinar on the occasion of Child Rights Week. And particularly, he has picked up a very important topic, that is children's participation in decision making, which affects their lives, in fact. And to start with, today actually one quotation came in the social media which caught my attention, that the children of today will make the country of tomorrow. And the way we bring them up will determine the future of our country. It is being said by, very aptly said by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And while going back to my own experience, because all distinguished panelists, they have covered all aspects of child participation, I would just like to share a few of my experiences and what are the challenges we faced while implementing project on child participation. Way back in 2012 or 13, I visited a tribal district of Odisha called Koraput. And there I visited a school and I interacted with the teacher over there. And those who are from Odisha, in all schools, they were having a suggestion box for children. That time, I don't know much now whether they are practicing it or not. And in the suggestion box, the children used to, put their suggestions for improving the schooling system and all. And in that particular school, what happened? The children put a very critical suggestions in the suggestion box. Like that time, actually, during midday meal, the children were carrying the eating plates with them from their home. So they requested the school management and their teacher particularly to provide them plates to have midday meal. And that teacher, actually the headmaster, he thought it very seriously. He took the suggestions of children very seriously, and anyhow he managed to pull some fund from their school development fund or something like that, and he managed to purchase plates for all the school children. And what happened, the teacher was sharing, when he respected their suggestions of children, the confidence level of children was, it got increased, and their participation, their involvement in the whole schooling system was quite amazing. I mean, what Mr. Inderjit was also saying, I mean, the magic happened. Actually, it transformed the whole, school environment and school scenario. And there was the gap between teacher and, students was quite, decreased and all. So I realized, there during my visit, how the participation or how respecting the views of others or suggestion of others, how it matters. So that is a small example I had, and actually I realized there how it can, change or transform the lives of children, with a small decision by a school teacher. You need not to have a very, organized kind of structure or systems put in place to, to inculcate this concept of participation. Having said that, I would like to, highlight few theoretical aspects also, so that those who are, having interest in this particular subject, and those who are audience, they can also seriously think about this. This participation is one of the core principles of UN Convention of Rights of Child. Other three principles are like non-discrimination, protection, and survival and development. And this participation is right. Right is very important, because by exercising this participation rights, children can also have access, or they can actualize other rights like education rights, protection rights, health and nutrition rights, whatever. So, and this in UN Convention, Article 12, it mentions about participation of children. And it is, if you look at that particular article, it is being, drawn in a very right-based perspective. Like it speaks about two things. One is, the state parties shall assure to the child who is capable of forming his or her own views the right to express those views freely in all matters affecting the child. One, freely expressing the views of children. Also, it speaks about the views of the child being given due weight in accordance with the age and maturity of the child. Two things. One is obligation from the duty bearer or service providers, so that they can respect, they can listen to the views of children, and also children should express their views freely. So these two aspects we need to consider very seriously, because while implementing any project on child participation, or trying to incorporate this particular element in any decision-making level, whatever level, grassroots or any level, we sometimes tend to forget the second aspect, which speaks about the obligation. We hardly have that kind of, attitude or aptitude at various levels to listen to children and, respect their views and take actions on any issues which is having relevance to their lives. So these two things. And secondly, I would like to highlight that we all know SDG are having 17 goals, 169 targets, and 232 indicators. And out of these 232 indicators, almost 35 indicators which is having concern with children, which is having direct implication on them. And in that context, given that context, children should be given space. They should be given the platform to express their views and to, take active participation in decisions which has implications on their lives. Because if we put our trust on them as, contributing agent in the society, definitely they can do, wonderful things. Because I have also many experience I cannot explain over here, because in many of the districts and schools, children did wonderful things, and they, turned the things in their favor. Like in Puri district of Odisha, we were implementing one such project on child participation, and the children used to cross a small, wooden bridge to come to their school. And during rainy season, when there is incessant rain, the bridge will fall apart and they will not be able to come and attend the schools. And the children, they requested the State Commissioner for Protection of Child Rights office, and with their intervention, the school administration, school authority, they constructed a bridge over there, and you can see that in one of the village in Puri. So many wonderful things children can, do if we repose faith in them, if we provide them the scope and opportunity. And lastly, I mean, those who are practicing or those who are working on child participation, they need to, understand three things. Like there are different types of participation, mainly three types of participation. One is consultative participation, where the adult consults children, and basically the adult initiate and manage the whole, decisions. And there, in those sort of decision-making process, the children have, they exercise little, control, or they don't have much influence on those sort of decisions. Second is collaborative participation. It is a, here the degree of partnership between adult and children is quite high. And it's a very, the children, adults, they engage very actively. And the third one is child-led participation. Here, the children lead, they manage the whole decision-making process. And even they even have the follow-up of the decision, or they know the results of the decision-making process. So, we need to understand these three types of participation. And last but not the least, I would like to highlight few standards which is being agreed globally on standard of child participation, because otherwise, we cannot shift the paradigm from this tokenism to active citizenship of children. One is there should be an ethical approach, like all the information should be transparent and honest. When the children participate in any decision-making process affecting their lives, they should be well informed so that they can take some informed decisions. And children's participation, it should be relevant and voluntary. The children should voluntarily participate. There should be consent from their parents or caregivers, even from the children themselves. And it should be, it should be relevant. The issues should be of real relevance to the lives of children. Otherwise, asking them or involving them in any kind of decision is not relevant for their lives. And also it is not ethical. And then there should be a child-friendly and enabling environment. Sometimes what happens, I have experienced also, in meetings, there will be adults and they will be controlling the whole, meeting process and all. And there we expect children to, share their experience or share their views. So it doesn't happen. It should be a very child-friendly and a very enabling environment so that children can come forward, they can participate, they can freely express their, views. Then there should be obviously equality of opportunity. No child should be discriminated on the ground of their caste, religion, sex, whatever. All children should be, given equality of opportunity. And more importantly, the staffs or the person who is facilitating the participation process or facilitating or ensuring the involvement of children in decision making, they should be well trained, and they should understand all the nitty-gritty of child participation. They should have a thorough understanding on all these standards. Otherwise, there will again be, tokenism rather than active participation. And the participation should also be done in a very safe and protected environment. Otherwise, children, they will not feel safe, or there are chances of their protection rights are being violated. And lastly, follow-up is also very, very important. As Mr. Indrajit also he highlighted in his presentation, because children's, it should not be a one-off activity. I mean, if you are organizing something, meeting, conference, whatever, or interaction, interface, and children coming, participating there, and over, and you tell that, I mean, we have ensured child participation. It's not participation. It is a continuous process, and children should have the opportunity to express their views, and also they should have all the rights to know what happened after they participated in the meeting. They should also be in a position to give feedback to any program, projects, or campaign, or whatever where the children have participated. So these are few standards we need to understand, and also you need to practice while working on promoting child participation. And already, I mean, few panelists, they have already highlighted how in different platforms and different areas they have promoted participation. Like school is one good, it's a scope and opportunity. Like in Odisha, children are also part of the school management committee. I mean, two children, they are part of the school management committee. But practically, we need to make it happen. Like children, they attending school management committee. The school management committee, they are creating that enabling environment for children to share their views, so that that will be materialized, and it's a good opportunity and scope where children can participate meaningfully. Secondly, this student helpline number is another scope where child can put their grievances through the helpline numbers, and the authority, school authority, they need to take it very seriously. They need to respect their views, and they need to act upon on the issues which are very pressing and very urgent. And secondly, Gram Panchayat, because I mean, Gram Panchayat, they are having they are preparing Gram Panchayat development plans, which the children, I mean, if some opportunity can be created, children will participate while preparing the Gram Panchayat development plan, and they can express their views, they can express their concern, and the Gram Panchayat development plan can be made child-centered or child-friendly, like that. And the third one is at village level, GP level, because under this integrated child protection schemes, Gram Panchayat child protection committees are being formed in Odisha, in other states also. At village level also, in some districts, they have formed village child protection committees. Here also children can play a very critical role. They can actively participate, they can express their views, they can address issues affecting them with the support of adult members of that committee. So that is how we can, start, or we can inbuild the culture of child participation at different levels, in different platforms, at panchayat level, village level, block level, whatever we can do, so that this participation concept will be more and more vibrant, and particularly it will. And once the adult members of the community, village, if they will see many examples how children are participating in schools at panchayat level, they are also acting as a change agent, it will definitely change the mindset of adults, which is being dominated by the thought that children, I mean, they should focus more on study or education rather than they taking part in other matters, which is not so important for them. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think very, very critical points. I think Mr. Padhi told us about two major things. One is about the United Nations Convention for the Rights of the Child, which is the beginning of discussing child rights in the sphere, in the international sphere, and in the national sphere. So most countries have actually signed this UNCRC document, and we are happy, sir, that you actually mentioned that the beginning of child rights comes from this pledge that each country has given to the United Nations, that they will protect their children and make sure that their children are developing in the right way. The second thing that you talked about is the impact on SDGs, which is very, very important as well, because first we had the Millennium Development Goals, and then now we have the Sustainable Development Goals. And like all the other speakers, every change that happens in the society actually has an impact on whether we are going to meet the SDGs or not. And rights of the children is one very, very critical aspect of realizing the Sustainable Development Goals. And until and unless we are able to protect our children and help them realize their rights, it will not be possible for our country to actually go realize the SDGs. You talked about the different forms of participation. I will not go into it. But what I wanted to say to all our audience and to all our listeners, also people who are listening to us from Odisha, that प्रत्येकटी शिशु मध्य गोटे व्यक्तिगत भाव रे प्रत्येकटी शिशु गुरुत्वपूर्ण. तेणु आमे प्रत्येक शिशुंकर जहा तांकर चाहिदा अछि, तांकर जहा आग्रह अछि, सेटा को केमति परिपूर्ण करबा सेटा आमर दायित्व. काइना शिशु माने साधारणतः भाव में आम उपरे निर्भरशील, जो माने अडल्ट तांको उपरे निर्भरशील, तेणु तांकर जो स्वप्न थाए, तांकर जो एस्पिरेशंस थाए, तांकर जो अधिकार थाए, ताकू साब्यस्त करबा को हेले आमे माने अवगत हबाकू पड़िबो. आम अवगत हेबारे आमे ही केतेबेले कोठी गोटे कोहळ करि दउचे. सेथि लागि हमर शिशु माने आज पर्यंत आमे या विषय रे डिस्कशन करछे. एटा खाली केवल ओडिसा रे नुहे किंबा केवल भारत वर्ष रे नुहे, एटा बहुत अन्य डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज रे मध्य शिशु अधिकार विषय रे डिस्कशन होउची. किंतु आम मानको एटा बुझिबाकू पड़िबो जे प्रत्येकटी शिशु गुरुत्वपूर्ण. से को कास्ट रो हेतिबो, को रिलीजन रो हेतिबो, कोठो आसीथिबो, को ट्राइबल हेतिबो कि नॉन ट्राइबल हेतिबो, सेटा हम पे इंपोर्टेंट नुहे. किंतु प्रत्येकटी शिशु होची व्यक्तिगत भाव रे से गुरुत्वपूर्ण. द्वितीय कथा होची सेमानंकर प्रत्येकटी शिशुर स्वतंत्र भाव रे तांकर किछि उटा आवश्यकता थाए, जोटा को आमको परिपूर्ण करबा को पड़िबो. जदि आमे चाहूचे जे आम शिशु माने सेठी जाई कि पहुंचतु, तांकर सब प्रत्येकटी अधिकार रियलाइज हो. आउ तापरे आमे देखिबा को चाहूचे देखिचे जे सरकार टी जेउ अनुष्ठान द्वारा जहा भी पदक्षेप नेउची, सेटा शिशु मानको उपरे गोटे कोठी ना कोठी तांको उपरे गोटे प्रभावित तांको करूची किंबा तांको उपरे प्रभाव पकोची. सेटा गोटे गुरुत्वपूर्ण जिंस हमकु मने रखिबा को पड़िबो. तेणु खाली एतिकी नुहे जे तांकर स्वतंत्र आवश्यकता थाए. आमे एटा भी जानिचे जदि लाइवलीहुड्स उपरे काम करची ताले परिवार टी जेतेबेले स्वच्छल होए सेतेबेले शिशुटी काम न करिकी से सेतेबेले स्कूल जाई पारे. आ स्कूल को गले से बेसी सृजनात्मक चिंताधारा भी मध्य ता भितरे आसी पारे. तेणु एई सब गुडिक जिंस आमे जो कथा होचे सब जोड़ी हेकी रहिची. एंड बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज इंटरट्वाइंड इन सच अ वेरी बेसिक मैनर, वी हैव टू एंश्योर दैट चिल्ड्रन राइट्स टू रियलाइज चाइल्ड राइट्स, we have to create an enabling environment. And in order to create an enabling environment, all stakeholders, right from the family level to the institution to the policy makers, all have to have this understanding. And in order to have this understanding, we have to have very, very focused and systematic communication, which is social and behavior change communication, to ensure that the norms, that our thoughts, that our beliefs, that our understanding about children changes. With that, I would like to thank all the speakers here and for participating. I would request all of you to please stay on, and I request Swadesh to actually take on some questions, because I'm sure there must be some questions for our speakers. Swadesh, if you can please facilitate this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, as of now, there is no questions in Facebook, but from here, if you can take any questions, I can see Mr. Hrusikesh Misra from Kalahandi. He has been listening to us. If Hrusikesh sir, if you have any question or if you have any comments on the session, you can share. And Mr. Sumant is there. If you can share your views.
धन्यवाद जे मान्यवर सांसद उद्यम क्रमे गोटे चाइल्ड वीक रे सब कार्यक्रम चलची आउ ए भितरे ए फील्ड रे काम करथुवा विभिन्न संस्थार व्यक्ति विशेष एक्सपर्ट्स तांकर बहुत भलो मतामत दउचंती आउ ए सब को नै कोलाहांडी भली गोटे जिल्ला रे मान्यवर सांसद जो गोटे मॉडल नुआ पीढ़ी रो करिया को विभिन्न केतु हम करा जाय पारिबो निश्चित भाव रे एटा आगामी दिन रे बहुत सहायक हबो आउ जेहेतु आमे अतीत रे बहुत प्रोजेक्ट रे काम भी करिचु वर्तमान परिस्थिति रे विभिन्न प्रकार जो परिवर्तन आसी से परिवर्तन को पाथे करी जो चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन रो ऊपर हो लाइवलीहुड रे ऊपर हो ग्रासरूट लेवल रो विभिन्न ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को केंति गिरी पारिबो और ता पई गोटे कोऑर्डिनेटेड एफर्ट केंति करा जाय परिबो थ्रू गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी किबा लोकल बॉडीज एजेंसी तरफ रे ता पई भी टिके यत्नवान हवा उचित बोली मु मने करे धन्यवाद
Dhanyawad, Sikesh Babu. So it was really a very much insightful session for me, especially for people like me who are new to the system, new to the development sector, and also for the people who want to do something for children. So now I'll be very much thankful to all of you, and will request Mr. Professor K.K. Das he is the assistant professor working in CDC University, which is one of our knowledge partners in this series, and also he is an honorary research assistant in the Honorable MP's office. So Professor Das, please go ahead.
Thank you, Swadesh. If I'm audible to you.
Yes, sir, you are audible. You can go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Swadesh. This was an insightful session, as you have already identified. And I would like to thank Lopamudra ma'am, who set the tone for the discussion. And with several fantastic contributions coming from Rajesh ji, Patil sir, IS officer, Anubhav Patnaik ji, our legislator, Indrajit ji, the development professional, and Shashank Padhi sir, who is also a development professional and child expert. So all of them have contributed in taking forward the child participation and their role in decision making. It is actually all of them have highlighted one thing, that it is patronizing is not the way, it is actually being part of them is the way. So thank you, fantastic moderation by Lopamudra ma'am, everyone there. So on behalf of MP Sir's office, Honorable MP Sir Sujit Kumar's office, and partners Kaling Kusum Foundation, Sri Sri University, and Javier University, we extend a warm welcome to all of you for joining this series, and also extend a heartfelt thanks to you for taking your time, carving out time out of a busy schedule, and bringing out insights, expertise, and also showing us way forward on child participation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am.